We have a brand new interview between All In Crypto and Jake Claver talking about XRP. We're going to play it and get into it. Paul Barron has some other updates as well we're going to jump into. There's some things happening over at the ECB, moving ever so closely to a central bank digital currency. We're going to look at some connections. We also have a community post by Diana talking about a $943 XRP scenario. Just want to say, guys, thank you so much for the support. Today is my 41st birthday, September 13th. Just really appreciate everybody that has supported my channel for the last 3 years. On September 20th, the channel will be 3 years old, and I couldn't get anywhere without all of your love, support, and your passion. XRP Army, I owe you. Thank you so much. Let's get into it.
An individual from Franklin Templeton that essentially said, look, these are global commodities, right? They're not stocks. They're not things like this. I know, interestingly, BlackRock's head of digital assets, Robert Mitchnick, actually wrote a paper alongside an individual on the board of Ripple. Have you seen that paper about the valuation of Ripple?
I have.
And one of the high estimates for that valuation, by the way, and we'll probably throw it up on screen, was $32.90 something, right?
Well, yeah, in the paper, but Robbie actually created a calculator. It's difficult to find online now.
Okay.
But it actually shows how XRP would need to operate at around $10,000 per token.
Wow.
To fulfill its actual use case. So yeah. Interesting that Robbie's now in the position there at BlackRock.
And I stumbled upon this paper because we were talking about ETFs with someone, and I said, you know, I think people are underestimating how much volume the XRP ETF is actually going to see. I think it's going to beat Ethereum, certainly to get to that $10 billion mark. It was 250 something days. I don't think it will quite beat Bitcoin at 52 days. I could be horrifically wrong. I'd love to be wrong as an XRP holder.
Yeah.
So I think it falls somewhere between Bitcoin and Ethereum. And I think if you look at what the CME futures have done, they're the fastest ever futures to get to $1 billion in open interest.
3 months.
Yeah, 3 months. Yep. Crazy. And so I think people underestimate that. And one question came up, well, BlackRock's not going to offer an XRP ETF. And I said, well, why wouldn't they? Robbie literally worked at Ripple in 2017, wrote papers on valuing it. Seems logical, right?
Well, anytime they've been asked about it, and Brad as well, they just say, I can't talk about that.
Right. Yeah, they give us the wink.
Well, first of all, one person that works at Ripple's opinion matters a lot, but it's not going to reshape BlackRock's entire business. The reason BlackRock went into Bitcoin and Ethereum is because they had the customer demand. Bitcoin, you have about 50 to 60 million holders. XRP only has a few million. So it's going to take people that actually have an account at BlackRock to pick up the phone and talk with their financial advisor over there and say, when are you going to have some spot XRP products? That is exactly what I'm looking to invest in. And only then I think they're going to take the steps. Obviously, we know that they're probably interested and they have some ideas of what they're going to do, but it is really going to take that push from consumers and customers to get it over the line,
as it were.
Yeah.
But this is interesting stuff. And I think also in terms of how do you value this stuff, and we'll get on to maybe how you're looking at valuing this stuff. People also aren't accounting for the world that we may be in the next 5 years. You know, if you look at the largest stock in the 1800s, we're not going to go that far back. In 1980, it was IBM in the US.
All right. They have a whole hour-long interview if you want to go watch it. Please do so. Ripple put this out. Ripple Swell is our most important event, and this is this November. It returns to New York City. Swell is where leaders in crypto payments and banking policy come together to discuss what's ahead for the future of finance. You know, a small YouTuber like me won't get an invite to Swell. I am not the future of finance, but it would be pretty cool to go one day. That is definitely on my board of achievements to get to eventually here. And we'll see. Paul Barron posted this. Massive SEC Chairman Paul Atkins just wrapped up meetings with the European Central Bank during his European tour, signaling a systemic shift in global crypto regulation. Here are the key takeaways. Crypto's time has come. Direct quote from Atkins. Most crypto tokens are not securities. Push for super app platforms, trade, lend, and stake under one roof. US, EU regulatory alignment on the horizon. This isn't just policy talk. It's the foundation for a unified transatlantic digital asset framework that could unlock trillions in cross-border XRP capital flows. The old enforcement-heavy approach is dead. The innovation era begins now. Now, I was supposed to have an interview with Paul Barron, but it was unfortunately the day that Charlie Kirk was shot and killed. And so we're rescheduling that to the end. Obviously, never condone any type of violence. I'm sorry that happened. And we live in a very complicated world right now. I hope we can all just take a step back and cool down. I just wanted to get some additional context here to see if there was anything else that I missed here. Recognition of crypto. SEC Atkins chairman is saying crypto's time has come, indicating official recognition of the sector's importance. Crypto token status. The majority of crypto tokens are suggested to be considered not securities, which would be a substantial regulatory shift. Super app push. There's a call for integrated financial platforms, also known as super apps, that allow multiple services, which are right here. Trading, lending, staking under one roof. Regulatory alignment, US, EU regulatory alignment. Remember, if we're going to be able to tokenize all this value and bring it on chain quickly, we need to get all of these jurisdictions talking with each other to find out how we update all of these things on the legacy systems as well as the new blockchain rails. When something is sold, that has to be updated in the real world, but also in the blockchain world. So how do you interconnect all that and how do you do that? And it's going to take a lot of people and countries coming together to do that. Now, I did a complete video on all ECB stuff yesterday. It should come out maybe Friday or Saturday if you're interested in learning what's going on with the ECB. I'm not going to play this clip because I did spend a lot of time on this on 2 videos yesterday, but there is a lot of talk being pushed forward with Christine Lagarde. And you know Christine Lagarde, the ECB, the European Central Bank, is deciding on what technology they're going to be moving forward with in October. So we should get an update in October, what's going to happen here. But she has mentioned Ripple and Stellar and Circle a bunch of times, mentioning Ripple a lot more, I think. This is towards the end. I just want to show you this. I'm not going to play this whole clip because it is an old clip and people say, Sensei, why are you showing old clips? Let me just show you.
You're going to change it. You're going to reduce your cost. You're going to expedite your transactions, and you're going to continue to inspire confidence because you will build that on the basis of an existing backbone, which is your bank and the confidence relationship that you've established with your customers. So that's where I see changes happening now. If you think of Circle and Ripples and all those, that's where they are active and helpful.
That's where they are active and helpful. When we're talking about a central bank digital currency, would you go to Circle for that technology? No, you wouldn't, because they're a stablecoin company. You would go to Ripple because they have private ledgers and they have technology that will allow countries to build. All of these different tests with these smaller countries are showing the bigger countries like the EU and France and the UK that yes, Ripple's technology does work. Mint, redeem, burn, whatever you want to do, they can get you set up to have a wholesale or a retail CBDC. Remember, wholesale is central bank to bank. Retail is you and I to a business when we go and pay for gas or food or whatever. That's a retail CBDC. All right. And then we look back in history. We know Brad Garlinghouse. Here's Christine Lagarde, right? They've been in the room together. You know they've had the conversations. I've shown you several pictures of them together. I don't know of any other blockchain infrastructure company CEO that has had more meetings with the leaders of the entire financial system globally than Ripple, XRP, and Brad Garlinghouse. So let's jump over to this Deanna. She has a community post here. If you're interested in supporting Deanna, here is her Twitter profile. As you can see, I'm supporting her. She doesn't really care about me. All good. Let's just get into the information. XRP's $943 scenario. Brad Garlinghouse just went nuclear. Ripple CEO dropped one of the boldest projections we've ever heard. XRP could capture 14% of Swift's volume. That's $1.5 quadrillion flow within 5 years. Let's unpack it. The Swift bombshell. Swift moves 1.5 quadrillion annually with a Q. Garlinghouse says XRP can handle 14% of it. That's 210 trillion in flows. The context, the entire US GDP is 27 trillion. Really quickly here though, the reason he said maybe 14%, this is a very strange number. Like this is how I think about this. You either have done a ton of research on this and you know exactly that 14% is the number. That's why you use it, right? Because why wouldn't you say 10 or 15, right? Most people, when they're just giving you an average of something, they will round up to one of those solid numbers. But 14, like 13 is a weird, strange number. And so I think Brad really is signaling here that we could take over the entire Swift volume, but he doesn't want to come out and say that because then Swift would consider them a direct threat, which they probably already do. But this would be like firing a cannon right over the, a ship or like some serious stuff. I don't know why I gave that reference. I think I was watching Chief of War last night and it was, I don't know, if you haven't caught up to the last episode, yikes. I think that was stuck in my head. I apologize. Why it matters. If every fraction of the demand funnels into XRP liquidity pools, the price discovery won't look like any past cycle. Forget 3, forget 10. We're talking about institutional grade adoptions and trillions in motion. She goes on to say, all the money narrative. XRP isn't just knocking on Swift's door, it's already sitting across multiple tables. DTCC, 3 quadrillion in settlements. Global banks, US plus Japan, 37.5 trillion deposits. Visa, MasterCard, Amex, 26 trillion. Tokenization, trillions projected this decade. This is why they call it the bridge. I like that. That's spicy. The numbers get wild. Conservative math, 1% of 530 trillion global flows is $96 XRP. Speculative liquidity squeeze, 5.6 billion. Effective float, $943 XRP. Yes, that's 3 digits and not hopium. It's math. Brad Garlinghouse signals 5%, 5 years, 14%. That wasn't a throwaway line. Ripple sees adoption timelines accelerating with real-world assets, stablecoins, ETFs, and CBDCs moving fast. XRP isn't framed as just payments anymore. It's evolving into the settlement layer for global money. Now, if the entire financial system collapsed tomorrow and they had to go to a new system, what blockchain infrastructure globally is set up right now to handle it? Of course, you're still going to need some liquidity, and that could be injected if they wanted to do that. But what do all these countries actually trust? Which company? Which blockchain infrastructure? I mean, it's a real question. You got to answer that for yourself. I, of course, have an answer, but you already know what that is. What it means for holders, even tiny slices equals life-changing evaluations. 1%, $9.60. Excuse me, 0.1% equals $9.60. 1% is $9.96. 14% of Swift. This isn't about memes. It's about whether regulators, banks, and rails align fast enough. The final world, XRP is no longer chasing retail hype. It's chasing trillions in institutional flows. The math is savage. The timeline is short. The upside, staggering. XRP isn't just another altcoin. It's playing for all the money. And the X Finance bull here, the gentleman just got a partnership with CoinMarketCap. So he's doing some good work out here if you want to follow him. Japanese gaming giant Gumi, backed by SBI. We got this information last week or the week before. I just want to show you this. Announced 25 billion XRP acquisition, 25 billion yen. That's 165 million worth of XRP. It looks like this is starting to grow. Just to give you some additional context, the social media post announces Japanese gaming company Gumi, backed by SBI, has significant corporate acquisition of XRP, making it one of Japan's largest corporate XRP holders. Gumi, the post claims that Gumi is a well-known Japanese gaming company, has acquired 25 billion worth of XRP as part of its strategic assets backed by SBI. The purchase is expected to be reflected in the company's books for the second quarter and onward in the new fiscal year. The scale of the significance is with the acquisition of this size, Gumi becomes one of the largest corporate holders of XRP in Japan. Now, you gotta understand that there's going to be other companies, maybe other gaming companies, maybe other companies we're not even thinking about, are looking at this saying, when are we going to create our own strategy for crypto assets? And is that strategy going to be with Bitcoin? Is it going to be with Ethereum, or is it going to be with XRP? Because not only you can add XRP for future value, but then you can start using it to speed up your supply chain or your payments or whatever it is that you're trying to do. It has multiple purposes. Remember, Jack Mallers and Michael Saylor have put Bitcoin into a corner where it's a digital store of value. That's what they tell you. That's what they're selling to you right now, right? But XRP is everything. It is a bridge asset. It is everything that Bitcoin cannot be. Start to wonder, people are going to be taking that real seriously very soon. And of course, Digital Assets Daily, another great account I like to follow, posts a lot of really good information. It says XRP ETF just in Rex Offspring XRP ETF to set to launch today. Love to see it. We're getting institutional demand for XRP. Can we get $5 or $10 billion before the end of the year? That's all going to rely on the SEC to approve those ETFs come October 18th through the 25th. I do believe that the market will be pre-buying XRP leading up to that event. Stay tuned. I will keep you completely updated. Thank you so much for your time. Have a fantastic weekend. Woohoo! Let's get it.
I have just built a course for beginners, intermediaries, and experts of XRP to better understand the XRP ledger and Ripple, the company. If you're interested in getting that course absolutely free, there's a link down in the description. Please let me know what you think after you've taken the course. Aloha.